I hope you're well. This is called Mahay. I am the immersion coach, and I just want to share some thoughts around leadership with you. I've not long got back from a full day of training people on my philosophy of what leadership is and what it is to be a leader. Now, it's not your traditionalist philosophy on leadership, I accept, and I think it's about time that organizations and leaders around the world started hearing this message. It's not a new message. I don't profess to be some kind of guru who has invented a whole new kind of leadership, but it's a style of leadership that we don't practice often enough. And there's certainly a kind of leadership, the style of leadership that I adopted throughout my years as a senior leader in the police service. And a third of my life was at a very senior level within the police service, and 2/3 of my service were all at leadership level. So I've got, I would say, a fair amount of experience around leadership. But today I went back to train police officers, to train police leaders. Now, when I left the police service about 2.5 years ago, I always said I would never go back to the police service. And I don't know why. I enjoyed my time in the police service, but I just thought it was time to leave something behind and move forward and try and change the world in a different way, which I am doing anyway. But I got asked last week, could I go in to talk about inner leadership? Now, as soon as somebody said inner leadership, that sort of got me going, because I'm all about inner leadership. So today I went back, please, and I was training 4 teams, leaders on my philosophy on leadership. My philosophy on leadership is, firstly, to become a leader, you have to be a leader of yourself. You have to master the art of inner leadership. You have to master the art of that inner conversation that goes on inside your head. If you cannot control the thoughts that are going on inside your head, if you don't have that level of self-awareness, if you don't have that level of self-control, if you don't have that level of self-belief, then how on earth can you possibly manage to lead other people effectively? That's my number one point, and I taught them all sorts of philosophies, models, and we did a lot of exercises around the art of inner leadership, how they can manage themselves. Secondly, I talked about what it is to be a leader. Really, what is it to be a leader? So many people go into leadership in so many different guises, and they think leadership is all about influence. Leadership is all about control. Leadership is all about making decisions. Leadership is all of those things, but it's much more than that. Fundamentally, what leadership is a recognition that you are in a position of influence, authority, control, and power to some extent. You are making decisions that are affecting other people. And here's the thing, every single one of us at some point in our lives are leaders. We're a leader when we come home and we're guiding our children. We're a leader when we're amongst friends and we're guiding our friends. We're a leader if we're a teacher. We're a leader if we're a police officer. We're a leader whenever we are in a position of influence of ourselves, of other people, or of situations. We are leaders. Now, if we accept that leadership is about having a level of authority or control or influence over people, and therefore an element of power over other people and situations, we also have to accept that where you have great power, there's an old saying, isn't there? You also have great responsibility. And that for me was fundamentally what I wanted to get through to them. Police leaders, any leader in any organization, in any walk of life, have that element of responsibility. They have a responsibility for other people. And fundamentally, this is one of the things that I was teaching them. That it's okay to call yourself a leader, but are you willing to take the responsibility of a leader? Being a leader is not an easy task. You are weighed down with the responsibilities for all the people that you are currently leading. So you need to take leadership very seriously. And which is why it's more important when you become a leader, at whatever level of whichever organization or whichever walk of life, you need to learn the art of inner leadership. How are you mastering yourself? How are you growing yourself on a daily basis? How are you becoming more self-aware? How are you controlling that language that goes on inside your head? Many of the leaders sitting around the table talked about one thing. When I was teaching them some coaching techniques, many of them talked about having this language inside their head that affected their confidence, the fears that existed that prevented them from moving forward, whether it was in their personal life or within their work life or within their teams. They all talked about having some level of fear, whether it's a self-confidence issue, whether it's a fear of looking stupid, whether it's a fear of failure. They all had some level of fear. Now here's the thing. Fear for me is nothing but a lie. Fear is a lie. Because if you think about what fear is, these fearful thoughts that you have, these limiting beliefs that you have inside your mind, what are they predicated on? Very little. In fact, what fear is, it just tells you that something might happen, something might go wrong if you were to take a course of action that you haven't even yet taken. So actually fear is guessing as to what might happen, and it's just looking at the dark side. It's not saying actually this could go right, and if this went right, these would be the outcomes. So fear is really a lie. Fear is nothing but a limiting belief that is based upon the conditioning that we might have had, some past experience that we might have had in our lives. Now it's important for you to be, if you're going to be an effective leader, to start mastering that level of fear. And I'm not talking about becoming fearless, because that is a lie in itself. I am fearful of so many things. You know, I have so many fears. Every single person on the planet will have some fears or another. For us to start saying that we're fearless is just lying to ourselves. But what we can start developing is the element of courage. Courage is when you feel the fear and you do it anyway. Courage is when you walk through the... Back in the day, I used to be a public order commander, and on an annual basis, one of the things that we had to do was go public order training. So we put on all the riot gear, and one of the things that we did when we put on all the riot gear was that we had to walk the gauntlet of petrol bombs. So as you're walking forward, covering your face like this, these petrol bombs were so hot. Literally, as you're walking forward, somebody would throw a petrol bomb at your feet and it would explode and you would be engulfed in flames. Now that was quite scary. I was fearful, but I did it anyway because I was demonstrating courage. I did it, and I made sure I always did it first so that my team behind me could see that the boss was doing it. So being fearful is completely normal. What is more important is learning how to overcome or do things despite that fear. So this is all part of the whole inner leadership perspective. Mastering the art of you. Looking within yourself. And fixing you is far more important at this stage than fixing anybody else. There is that old saying, isn't there? You cannot pour from an empty cup. So you need to fill up your cup. Being a leader is no easy job. Being a leader is no walk in the park. Being a leader is a very important task. When you are a leader at home, it's a very important task. When you are a leader at work, it's a very important task. When you are a leader in life, fighting some cause, pushing some agenda forward, it's a very important task. So start taking it seriously, is my message. Start regarding leadership as a science. Start regarding leadership as a vocation in life. Start regarding leadership as part of your journey. And start investing in yourself to grow to be the most effective leader that you possibly can be. Because the one thing that people will remember about you is not how much money you had. It won't be what job you did. It will be the legacy that you leave in this world. And as a leader, wherever you go, you are leaving a legacy. Wherever you go, whenever you change something, whether it's small or whether it's big, you leave a legacy. Whenever you have a conversation of somebody within your department, your team, your family, your friends, who regard you as a leader, your word will carry more weight than if they did not regard you as a leader. So the conversations that you have, those casual conversations that you might have with people, should be regarded as quite impactful conversations. They can actually significantly impact upon the individual because they will regard your word as having more gravitas than any other person's word because they regard you as the leader. So mind your language. Mind your language, mind your belief systems, mind your fears, and learn to master the art of inner leadership.